What's going on, guys? In today's episode, we're going to talk about the lower back and the exercise that you need to think about, especially as a beginner. Okay, Dr. Joe and myself went on a Zoom. We're on it. It's a segment from our podcast. Definitely check this out because it's very informative.
What I normally, now, where I want to gear this towards is that when you think about core strengthening, in order to do it right, the most important thing for me is that neutral spine. What we mean by neutral spine is the reversal of that big arch. So taking out that big arch so that your abdominals aren't elongated and weak, like the picture showed during everything, and just making sure you're in the right position during every movement that you do. So for me, what I try to get across to people is that everything's a plank. Anything that you're doing, whatever exercise you're doing, is a plank. I want to get shirts made that say that, because that's like my main motto is everything is a plank. So when you're doing, like when we do bent over rows with the kettlebell, what is that for? Well, it's for mid back, rhomboids. Yeah, we're strengthening our mid back, right? And core. So that's the point. Everything that you do is end core. Whatever this muscle, whatever this is for, end core. Because when you're doing a press overhead, here's your plank position. So if we're doing overhead presses, right? We got to take a kettlebell here. We're doing an overhead press. This is my plank position now. So for me, in the front of my mind, I'm thinking I'm tight through here. This is my plank. And this motion for me is a secondary. So when same thing with a bent over row. If I'm doing a 2-point row, I'm here. Yes, this is my motion of rowing, but my primary motion, this is my plank. So I'm set up now in my plank position, and I'm holding that steady, and that's my secondary motion is my row. Every exercise. So I think the first step is just get that to be your secondary. Just think about it a little bit when you're doing every single exercise. When you're doing squat, think about your core. Think about just drawing in a little bit and feeling like you're a stiff board on the way down. So, and then bring it into that row, bring it into overhead, bring it everything that I do. When I do a med ball, my core is my focus. Every single one. Now, like I said, I want you to make that your secondary for now. Just think about that's the part of PT that I think that's the big step back that some people have to take because they don't know how to make that even contract those muscles. So I think the first part of the battle for us is showing people how to contract those muscles. Might be just laying down. It might be using a physio ball to help you just feel that. But I think for most people that are probably listening to this and that do crank, they probably understand that already. So I think just making that known that if you have back pain, then that needs to be the primary. And it's my primary anyway. That needs to be your primary thought. What's my plank in this exercise? What's my plank position in this exercise? If I'm, for me, the slams, my plank position is that up at the top. My core is heavy when I come back down. I don't just come to here and then everything's all, my back goes into a big arch. So that's the stuff that you need to think about with every single exercise is how can I make this exercise? How can I do it through my core? Right. And for me, even when I run, I'm up tall and my core is contracted a little bit. And I'm taking nice long strides where I'm not kind of going into this back and forth, which a runner does often is back and forth, get drawn forward by their pelvis. And that causes a lot of back pain for runners, is that they're constantly pelvic tilting as they run because they don't have any core control. And I think that's a huge thing for every single exercise that we do. And I mean, same thing and there's some that really stress the low back and like a burpees. And there's ways to step back that do it. where we can say, okay, this, you feel that this is your neutral spine. This is what it feels like. This is what it, when you're in that position, and to hold that. But I don't know that it has to be such a crazy science of like, this is your exact neutral spine position. No, just think about it. I want people to be aware of their core in every single exercise. I think that's what goes a long way, because if you're aware of your core, you're technically aware of your posture from top to bottom, because it all runs through that. Yeah. And there's times when I'll be in a crank workout, and I'll be like, man, and I'll take longer than everybody else around me, because I feel like I'm focusing on those things. I'm really keeping my core tight, and I'm like, man, this is a lot more tiring for me. Everybody else is blowing through it, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it anymore, because that's always my focus. And to be honest with you, I've had back pain in the past. Since I've had these concepts, I don't have not even like a little bit.
Right.
I have no back pain, because everything that I do, I make sure it's through my core is my primary focus. Right. So what I'm asking, make it your secondary focus for now. Just think about it.
Right.
Just think, I'm doing an overhead press. Where's my low back? How does my low back feel? Do I feel like I'm squeezing my abs at all?
Right. I feel like it's not a response, like you're just so automatically do it that, it's a no-brainer anymore,
Right. And I don't have to think about it. I not once, like I said, when I'm running, I feel it tight the whole time, and I'm not sitting there holding my breath. Your abdominals, that six pack is not really what does it, right? That's your flexor in the front. So I'm not sitting there like this holding my breath while I'm doing everything. It's that wraparound muscle, right? That just have that tiny little tuck of, we say a lot in PT, pretend like you're going into really cold water and like you suck in a little bit just because it's cold, that sensation of cold when you first get like your hips in the water. But those things, I promise you, that's the most important thing that you're going to do, because if you can get that concept and you can start doing that and start taking it to every part of your life, whether it's walking, sitting, running, and doing it while you're doing these exercises, it's how you're going to imprint it. If you can get that down, like I said, make it a secondary first, and then all of a sudden it'll start becoming your primary, and you're like, man, I'm thinking about my core during all of these things, and you'll feel the difference that it makes. I promise you, that's the most important thing that you can do. I'm not going to sit here and give you like an Instagram model that's doing these weird ab exercises, right, with some fucking bands and I'm not going to sit here and do that. I want you to understand the concept. That's what I try to give to everybody, is know the concept of everything's a plank. Right. Walk away with that. Everything's a plank. Right. When you're doing every exercise, put it in your head, and then put it further in your head, and then you won't have to put it in your head at all. It'll just be there. Right. And now you're doing a bent over row, and your core will be the first thing that fatigues, not arm. Right. Doing an overhead press, and your core will fatigue faster than your shoulder.
Yep.
That's it. Concepts. I try to bring concepts to this.
That's when I put the TV just turned off. I'll find that effect where it just goes.
Yeah. Listen, I showed you a picture. Your posture does this to you. What effect does your posture have on you? How do you change it? That's it.
All right, man. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome. Hope that was shorter than the shoulder.
Yeah, we got 2 things done today.
Yeah.
So, guys, again, if you guys do have questions, I know you guys reach out to me, but don't be shy. Reach out to Joe. He's here to help. He's with you guys. He feels the pain. Obviously, we talked about the burpees, so now you know what he got to. But we'll figure it out. All right. So, again, questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one, and we'll be talking about vaginas. So that's gonna be. I even grabbed something to pretend like I went to grab my phone, but it's not there.